What if anime was real? Welcome back to another video. My name is Noble Oath. I know the first thing someone would say is just go to Japan. You can live in anime there. It's not necessarily what anime would be like to just live in Japan, and that being the feeling of what anime would feel like. Anime is necessarily just a made-up story, whether it's a romance, whether it's action, horror, whatever it may be. There's a difference between anime and real life. You don't have characters that have blue hair, purple hair, and all this sort of stuff, but you do have maids, idols. Yes, there are group girl idols, J-pop idols that exist in the world in Japan, but necessarily, what would it be like if anime was real? Well, it ultimately depends on what anime you're adapting into. I feel like if you are adapting into, say, your first anime, for example, well, God almighty, I'm going into an isekai. But if you're generous enough that your first anime was not an isekai, but rather this horror-based anime, well, good luck to you. Hopefully you don't die in the death game. Yeah, I'm talking about Future Diary. It kind of aged poorly. But then again, you also have some people that have watched some anime that maybe it was on the brighter side. Maybe it was a slice of life. And it's K-On! Man, you're just having tea and snacks, all you can eat buffet, literally every single day for the rest of your life. And that, to me, feels like heaven. Even though the girls may be bland a bit, okay, don't give me hate for calling the K-On! Girls bland, because they're not. Yui is actually pretty cool. If anime was real, would it feel amazing or would it feel terrifying? Because depending on which anime you go into, it ultimately depends on one, your knowledge of the universe, but also two, getting used to that universe. Because obviously you know everything about that universe if you're going into your most favorite anime of all time. It's hard to describe what someone's favorite anime would be. Kind of scary as well to think that if an anime becomes real, then the entire universe will have to adapt to that certain universe. If it's something like Naruto, then there's going to be a lot of destruction. Well, I wouldn't say more destruction than Dragon Ball Z would bring, because that series is just, I can't even imagine. But also, if you bring into reality something like Sword Art Online, then you're facing the death of millions rather than just having that little count of people that got trapped in the game. Maybe this was released on a global scale of Sword Art Online. Not the entirety of humanity being sucked into a game, but I would say, imagine if it was half of humanity being sucked into a game. Now that would be insane, but I wouldn't necessarily say that I would want to go into that sort of universe, because there are a lot of different masterminds at work. You have No Game No Life, which is a series that currently has no second season, but it has a lot of lovable characters and a lot of, I would say, fetishes in it that people would die to have in real life, such as Nekos, and maid cafes do exist in real life, but they are very cringe as far as I've heard throughout my experience of just watching endless videos of people that go to maid cafes and say that it's kind of cringy because I could make all this stuff myself, but at the same time, I don't necessarily feel comfortable if you have your own significant other and she's like watching you off to the side like, I'm watching you. You better be careful around that maid or else you're gonna get it. You know what I mean? I can't say for certain which anime I would like to be real in real life. And you're saying, oh, it's Toradora. No, I don't think I would have Toradora become real. Mainly due to the fact that I would have to go back into high school, and that's something that I don't want to do. Even if it's Japanese high school, because Japanese high schools work you down to the bone. But if an anime such as Spice and Wolf becomes real, you're going back into the medieval ages where you have no technology. It ultimately depends on what universe you go into, like I said before, but also the technology you have to adapt to in that time that you're going to. So say if you are going into a universe like Evangelion, you got to keep in mind it's endless summers due to the second impact. You have to be in shelter all the time due to these mystical beings such as angels, and it's just a scary place to be in. You got to think about the benefits that come from this anime, because you for one got Misato. Oh lord, bless Misato. But also you have other lovable characters, only a few, but I wouldn't risk my life to have that anime become real. There are such a thing for live action anime adaptations from Japan studios themselves in real life, which I find to be very cool because there's actually a real life version of Oshinoko, which exists but hasn't been subtitled yet. As to my knowledge, it hasn't been. But if it has, then I might give that a watch. J-dramas and K-dramas are really good. You know, I gave them a try for once, and they actually turned out pretty nice. I wouldn't weigh them over the original anime adaptations, but I do give them credit for at least pertaining to the original source, sticking to the story, but also keeping the theme of the entire universe of that anime. In hindsight, if anime was real, it would be a very scary place, but also at the same time, if you did have certain anime that you wanted to have become real, it would mean that the entire universe is affected by whatever happens in that realm of universe. It always comes back to the idea and the thought that I've always had, that I've heard of ever since I was a kid, was that humanity's destruction will be its own. I feel like I've heard that quote before because I did a lot of reading back in my middle school days, and I would always continue to read like the biggest nerd I was before I found out about anime. That quote resonated with me. Our minds are so creative to come up with so many different things in reality, whether it be anime or something else, that the biggest thing that could destroy humanity is, no questions about it, itself. Nothing can come close to destroying humanity other than itself. We were built to create, but also the choice to destroy. If you really think about it, if there's ever this certain technology in the future that can recreate creative thoughts into reality, you give that to anime authors, or whether that be manga authors, light novel authors of Japanese series, oh lord, you're gonna become literal mush from any creation that these artists create in real life. The paths of what lies ahead are endless. There will be many roads that people will carve out to make the fact that if anime is real and you create all these different universes, it would become something very scary in a sense, because you have so many different anime on different levels, on different genres, that if they were real, I can't even imagine what that would be like. I feel like there would have to be a limitation. If anime was real, you can't bring in some kind of weaponry, because that would just be stupid illegal in all of humanity. I mean, if you're using it to rid the world of evil, say for certain, if you are bringing in something like Akame from Akame Got Killed, just her, imagine if you just bring her into the universe of reality, you would have a sense of her wanting to rise against corruption, against tyranny, whether it be her going after freaking North Korea, for example, or something else. And she would literally destroy them. But she also understands the psychology of what makes a human a human. Just having that respect for one another, to have that comfort for others that are in the lowest point in their lives. This is a character that has experienced so much trauma, so much death, so much loss in her own storyline, that if she were to become real after that story, she would literally be a mediator of humanity. She would be one of the greats that have made a very big impact in humanity, such as Martin Luther King, changing humanity's perception of how we all perceive things in life. She would be the one to do that. And this goes for any other character that someone may love deeply within their hearts. Now, the one biggest character that I will say I would love to become real or animate, I mean, she doesn't really have her own anime and it was the biggest meme of her time. I'll say her name, but I won't say anything else other than that. But the one character that I would love or animate to become real is Hatsune Miku. I have been Noble Oath. Let me know your guys' thoughts and opinions. Do you think that you would want anime to become real? And if so, which anime would you want to become real? With that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care and peace.